Meeting of the City of Palm Beach Gardens to order. Will you please all join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Mayor Jablin.
Here.
Vice Mayor Levy. Here. Councilmember Russo. Here. Councilmember Primoroso. Councilmember Tinsley.
Here.
Okay, under additions and deletions and modifications, we have a deletion, proclamation for Barbara Nicholas, who can't attend this evening, will be moved to March 3rd City Council meeting. May I have a motion?
Move deletions.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Before we get started with the official meeting tonight, as many of you know, we lost a really good friend of the city's last week, Torrey Buckley. We all attended a celebration of his life on Saturday and Sunday, and tomorrow night we're dedicating one of the fields over at Lake Catherine to Torrey. Torrey was a great man, great friend of the city, and he will be missed. If I could have a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much.
Excuse me, Mayor, if you remember last week when we did that park groundbreaking, and I guess I'll talk about that in a little bit, but remember one of my comments was, when I was the mayor like for 12 years, a lot of years in a row, and people always ask you always get, people come in from other parts of the country and the reporters and even national reporters, and they always ask you, they always would ask me, what is the best thing about the City of Palm Beach Gardens? A lot of people would think our golf courses. And I always told them, the people that are here are great. They make this city what it is because they do so many things. And I happened to say that just 2 weeks ago. And Mayor, you're talking about Torrey Buckley? Well, he's one of those people. I said the other night that at the other afternoon at the service that Torrey would call me just as you're an elected official, you always get the phone calls of everybody looking for something. Torrey was one of those people, but he was never looking for something for himself. He was all about the kids. It was all about the parks and the recreation and the kids. And as you all well know, the money you spend on the kids earlier, it's pay me now or pay me later. It saves you a lot of money and disasters later. And this town is a better place because of Torrey Buckley. So I just wanted to make that.
Yeah, thank you. You're absolutely right. We have a tradition in our religion that people's live on in our memories, and there are a lot of memories of Torrey. And the other day at that memorial, or at that celebration of life, I wanted to say, and I didn't come to mind, but that Torrey was in that room. I mean, with all the memories that we have of that man and all the things he did for so many people that were in that room, there must have been 200 people in that room. He was there. He was present. Okay, tomorrow night we're looking forward to honoring him again, and so we'll all be there. What time is it? 6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
At Lake Catherine.
I just wanted to say something. At the Celebration for Life, I made a comment that Torrey was a moral compass. Torrey always thought of other people first. Torrey always put this community and the kids of this community first. And I used Torrey as a guide to do what was right. And I'm sorely going to miss him. He always was, I remember, and I'm sure you all got the calls, David, you better vote this way. You better vote this way or I'm going to break your knuckles, which wasn't actually what he would have done, but I always voted his way, not because of he was going to do me any harm, but because he was always on the right side of what was the correct thing to do.
I'm going to say something too, and I'm on the Park and Rec Advisory Board with Torrey, and my first meeting, when he spoke, he was a little gruff, and it did not take me long at all to realize and to know that he was just a big teddy bear. And not only a big teddy bear, but he had the biggest heart of all. And he showed that heart all the time. So he will absolutely be missed. I'm glad we're dedicating that to him. But he was a true and an excellent volunteer of our city for over 15 years. And what a guy to know. I'm honored and lucky to have been able to see just a little part. I've only known him for 5 years, but I'm very lucky to have known him for those 5 years, and he will absolutely be missed.
He will be missed, and he will live on as in our own memories. I guarantee that. Okay, next is announcements and presentations. We have a presentation, Charlotte.
Good evening, Council. Charlotte Przensky, Community Services for the record. And I do love this part of my job when I get to stand up here and talk to you about something wonderful the city, this staff, and its community partners did. As you know, in November, we held our 10th annual Mayor's Veterans Golf Classic. It is now a whole weekend, not just the Saturday event, but we have a wonderful Friday event. And it was sold out this year, both events. And since its inception, as you know, the funds raised have gone to the VA Medical Center's Resource Center, their indigent and homeless program. And those funds help our local veterans here for things that they need every day just to get through life. It's amazing. I received a tour last year, and what our funding does really impacts their life. Before we get to the celebration of the dollar amount, though, there's some recognition that needs to happen, because this event is not just pulled off by your golf staff. It is pulled off by the larger, greater staff that you have. So before we start, I want to acknowledge those, and some of them are here. So once I announce your name, if you could please stand. Jack Downey, not here tonight. Jack Schnur, Scott Daniowski, Natalie Crowley, Laura Schubert, Christy Wolnevitz, Justin Lucas, Sherry Pla, Gabe Cyrus, Eric Holt, Candace Temple, and Barbara Chabray. Without these people, this event cannot happen, and they give their time as volunteers to this event. So we would like to thank them from the golf staff, because it's fabulous to have great partners. Thank you. Truly, it's an honor to work in this city with the sense of teamwork that we have, because we can pull off such large events like this. Before we get, again, to the dollar amount, I'd like to ask our mayor to come down, because we want to recognize our sponsors. Sponsors, when I announce your name, if you could come up, we have a wonderful plaque for you, but then we're going to ask you to stay up here. Justin, if you can help herd everyone over, and then we're going to take some photos. So first and foremost, our weekend title sponsors. These are our largest sponsors at a $5,000 level. Both sponsors have been with the tournament almost since inception. And remember, this was our 10th year. So I'd like to have come up our representatives from the TBC Corporation and the Forbes Company Gardens Mall. They've been with us for a very long time. We're going to try to take several photos and then one big photo. Our next one is a person that's near and dear to our heart. At the colonel level, he provided the funding for the player gifts, and it's the Lohman Law Group, our own Max Lohman. So please come down, Max. We also have those sponsors, our major sponsors at the $1,000 level or the in-kind level. A couple that are not here this evening, PGA National Resort and Spa, Allen Norton and Blue, Avenir, and Arrigo. They were all sponsors but unable to make it. But I would like to ask the Honda Classic representative to come up, please. I think it's Andrew. Thank you. BBX Capital Real Estate, I believe we have a representative. Maybe they did not make it. Okay. And then Brayman Auto Cars was our hole-in-one sponsor in kind. So we have Maria. And then another partner that we've had for a very long time, and without it, our check would actually be smaller that we give because they provide all of the food at the event. So I'd like to ask our Big Heart Brigade to come up and be recognized for what they do for this event. Now, all our sponsors, please stay right there. I'm going to ask Director Szabo to please come up. And I'm going to introduce one of our large partners first, Tom Murphy with the Gardens Police Foundation. Without them, there are certain games that we can't do. So he has a few words to say. Tom, come on up.
Thank you, Charlotte. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. As you know, we have partnered with the city for several years now in the conduct of this annual golf tournament. We do it to recognize and to show our appreciation for the many veterans of the U.S. military who live here in the community. We also do it to recognize the many men and women of our Palm Beach Gardens Police Department who are themselves military veterans. In a recent survey that I conducted, I found that some 30% of our sworn police officers are in fact military veterans, and many of those are still on active military reserve duty. If you add those to our civilian employees, of the police department, our reserve officers, our employees of the 911 Communication Center, as well as our police volunteers, we go up to a full 1/3 of the Palm Beach Gardens Police Department are military veterans. To recognize all of these veterans and to thank them for their service, and the Police Foundation is very proud and honored this evening to present our check to the West Palm Beach Veterans Memorial Center in the amount of $5,000. Thank you.
It's my honor to give to you this check for $21,584.39. And this is our 10th year, and we keep growing every year. And I guarantee you we're going to hit $1 million one of these days.
Great, and as everyone's returning to their seat, Director Szabo has a few words also. She's going to say some more.
So, Mayor, the City of Palm Beach, and for all of our sponsors, I'd like to say thank you. We do have a certificate of appreciation that I would like to read to you, and we will provide these to Charlotte so she can distribute. So on behalf of the Department of Veterans Affairs Medical Center, we recognize the countless contribution the Mayor's Office and staff of the Palm Beach Gardens City Council, as well as community partners, have provided to the West Palm Beach VA Medical Center. The City Council has raised over, and I think it even raised again tonight, has raised over $233,600 by hosting the annual Mayor's Golf Tournament for Veterans. This was a milestone of 10 years the tournament has been held in recognition of Veterans Day. Proceeds will be used to support veterans returning from the armed services and will provide assistance to veterans in need of utilities, housing, and other supportive services. Your partnership and commitment to the VA is strongly appreciated, and your contributions continue to enhance the quality of life for our veterans. So on behalf of the 60,000 veterans that we take care of at the VA West Medical Center, we really appreciate this. And I want to share, we've given you our annual summary, so I will provide this to Charlotte. It is the community donations, and the picture we just took will be placed in here. And it has, I'd like to share with you the stories of the veterans and how this is helping all of them. And I mentioned at the golf tournament this year that the ages of the veterans can go anywhere from 20-something, 18-something. None of us know when we may need. I can take care of the health care, but sometimes the roof over your house, the utilities, the clothes to go for a job interview, all of those things are not provided by medical care. And this past year, we actually had an 82-year-old veteran who lost everything. So you never know. This is a face, a friend, a family member that is served. And I'd like to say for all those that are in this room and are behind me, thank you for your service. But here's the words from our veterans. I would still be sitting in the dark if it was not for your help with my electric. We don't know where we would be without all the help. I don't even want to think of it. I had no idea where to turn. I found myself penniless and lost my home. The VA turned it all around. I have a home and an income now. I am so profoundly grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have given me another chance at life. Without this assistance, I would never have been able to regain any semblance of normalcy. This assistance literally gave me my self-esteem and self-worth back. It enabled me to become a productive individual again. So again, you will be featured with us and our veterans, and the best is the words from our veterans. But I'd like to end with a little special gift for Charlotte. Sometimes we can actually surprise our public affairs officers. So Charlotte, I would like to give you the coin of the VA West Palm Beach Medical Center.
Oh, that's so nice. Thank you.
On one side, it says, for those who have served, it's your place. So on behalf of what you do, hours and hours and hours, if everybody could just join me in a thank you.
Thank you all.
Oh, I forgot to give her the bragging rights. Here's your bragging rights. Beginning rag. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Charlotte. And thank you, staff. I know Charlotte asked you all to stand before, but I just want you to know how much we appreciate up here what you do for our city and for the veterans. This is an annual thing, obviously, that is going to continue to grow and grow and grow long after we're gone. And that's because, which won't be long for you or me or any one of us up here, actually, except David. David's going to be here a long time. Anyway, you've set it in motion, and it's a great tradition, and we can't thank you enough for doing it to make us all look good. You look terrific. Thank you so much. Okay, next is Florida League of Cities Recognition Award. Joe? I think we're... okay, all right, I'll go first.
Mayor, council members, Mr. City Manager, Mr. Attorney, City Clerk, thank you for having us here today. I am Carol Westmoreland with the Florida League of Cities, and the best part of my job is presenting awards to our beloved elected officials with many years of service. In this case, Mayor Jablin with over 23 years of service. We would like to thank him, recognize you, and give you this token of appreciation as well as a pin. And if I could, just read briefly what the plaque says. A resolution of the Board of Directors of the Florida League of Cities, Inc., honoring Eric Jablin for 20-plus years of elected service and presenting him with the John Land Years of Service Award in recognition of his unselfish commitment to municipal leadership and governance. Whereas America's municipal governments have long relied upon the unselfish leadership of their citizens for local self-government, and Florida's municipal governments share the time-honored role as the level of government closest to the people. And whereas several terms in office is a high compliment voters give to an official, and with these years of experience comes a strengthening of wisdom, discernment, and strong leadership skills that bring tremendous value to the municipal governments of Florida. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Florida League of Cities, Inc., that Eric Jablin is commended for his dedication to the City of Palm Beach Gardens and is hereby recognized an outstanding public servant in Florida. And there's your pin.
Because you can't look at pick up the other mic maybe. This way you can turn around and look at everybody.
Well, you're going to come down here and join me.
Yeah, I am. In a minute.
Okay, so I'm going to pick. Is this mic on?
I'll make my way down there.
There it is. Okay. Wow. You know, when I was elected back in 19 now, you know, not 20 anymore, 1992, I never thought I'd be standing here today with over 20 years of service. It wasn't in my game plan. It really wasn't. Actually, a lot of people wanted me to run, and I didn't want to run. I'm a very shy person, as you might know. I don't like making speeches, so I'm going to do the best I can. Truth be told, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for my family, because they have been so supportive of me over the years. My two children, Matthew and Rachel, please, see, this is why I don't like making speeches. My wonderful wife, Abby, who's here tonight and have encouraged me all these years. It's not easy to be an elected official. So for any of you who are thinking of running, believe me, this is not an easy job. You know, we're all going to be term limited. There are those who think that experience doesn't count. Well, I'm here to tell you it does. It really does. Now, I'm not bragging for me. I'm bragging for them. These guys, these gals who have served with me over the years have been wonderful public servants. They have done so much for this city to grow it in the way it's grown over the years. Not many cities can say that. Frankly, we're really proud of our city, and we have good reason to be proud of our city, because we've done a really, I think, a phenomenal. I'm starting to get welled up here, but sorry about that. But I think we've done a really great job. But we haven't done it alone. We've done it with staff. And staff has been so instrumental in making us all look good. You know, these meetings aren't easy to put together. Behind not only these meetings are hours and hours and hours of staff meetings. And our wonderful city manager and our city attorney and our city clerk and all of the people who have backed us up. I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me and for this council. So thank you so very much for everything. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Now I'm going to turn it over to this guy. Actually, I'm going to wear this. You know, I wear this pin very proudly. Now I'm going to add this one to it. Oh, look at that. Thank you. No, you put it right underneath it. Yeah. Oh, that's all right.
again, I have the distinct pleasure of honoring another one of your elected officials with even more service. And I am very pleased to make this presentation to Joseph Russo for 27 years of elected service. Presenting him with the John Land Years of Service Award in recognition of his unselfish commitment to municipal leadership and governance. Whereas municipal leaders strive for excellence in the governance of their city, town, or village and commit themselves to providing quality services, governing effectively, and working to improve the quality of life. And whereas this reliance places extraordinary responsibilities upon citizen legislators, municipal elected officials who make significant sacrifices of their time and energies on behalf of their citizens, often for little or no compensation, making this commitment a true labor of love. And whereas Joseph Russo has held office in the city of Palm Beach Gardens for 27 years and is recognized for this achievement, be it resolved by the Board of Directors of the Florida League of Cities, Inc., that he is commended for his dedication to the city of Palm Beach Gardens and is hereby recognized as an outstanding public servant in Florida.
I guess I'm really that old, huh? Well, this is a little bit easier, I guess. Eric at least knew this was happening tonight. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, I believe it was, whenever it was, because I've lost track of time being so old, this council and staff surprised me by naming a park after me that we're going to be building. And I showed up there not knowing that this park was going to have my name on it. You know? So that was a little bit more difficult. And, tonight I'm not going to say a lot because you're going to have to listen to me next meeting. Next meeting will be my last meeting, and there's a lot of things I'd like to say, and a lot of people I'd like to thank. The one thing and I'll tell you something, my wife says I can't thank her tonight because I always thank my family and so forth and my wife because they're the ones that put up with us. And everybody thinks it's easy for, it's easy for them. It's more difficult for them because they're not as close to it, but yet they have to read about it in the newspaper. It's surprising sometimes after they read all this, they still say married to you. Because when you read the newspaper and read, you say, boy, is that the same person I live with? It's just unbelievable. But again, and Sarah knows who's the media. We understand because the media has their job to do. But I want to thank, again, staff. I've been very fortunate. I mean, Eric's up here, and you've heard those 23 years. I had the pleasure and honor to serve with him for those 23 years. I got to serve with great council people, great staff, a great city manager. And even better, I saw former Mayor Martino here. He's here sitting in the back. And him and the rest of the council did such a great job to get the city where it was when we all started. This is a great city, and it's a great city because of the people that are here. Yeah, we work hard. We were tough. There are people that probably still don't like me or talk to me, but we did the right thing. And I mean the business people. Some of them, it's very difficult. Everybody thinks, the residents think that we do everything for business people. We don't. And I got to tell you, we have the best business people anywhere in this city. They're a part of the city. I know when I went to them and I asked them to pay for the flyover that we have there, so beautiful. Originally they fought, and then they said, yes, it makes sense. And it's just so great to know that people have pride and an ownership interest in the city. I thank God. He's given me the power to do this for 27 years. And, I'm 66 years old. I made this comment, and I served 6 years in New Jersey. In fact, friends of mine are here tonight from New Jersey. It started out with me, worked my first campaign. Right, Pete? That was a long time ago. But I thank God because, unfortunately, too many elected officials forget what the job is. I never forgot, and I thank God for that. Our job is to serve and work for you. That's our job. That's our only job. You hear about a lot of things, you talk about a lot of things, but there is only one thing that's important in this job, is to never forget who you work for. I thank God because I never forgot. I still work for you. I'll be working for you for another week or two, but I'll still be working because I'll still be here in the city of Palm Beach Gardens. Public service is an honor and a privilege. I just thank God that I got this opportunity to spend 27 years doing something I love in a great city like Palm Beach Gardens. Thank you. I almost got through it. Thank you. Leave these here?
We mix them up, so we'll change them later. No big deal.
Oh, get in the middle. No, in the back. In the back. No, in the middle. In the middle. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Joe and I are going to stay down here for a minute because on a consent agenda is a proclamation for Mr. Tom DeRita. And before we pass it, I'd like to read it to you publicly and present it to him, and then we'll pass it. So, Tom, why don't you come up here?
And by the way, this is another one of these people that make this city great. And you're going to hear a lot about what he does, and that's why this city is good. Thank you, Tom.
It states, whereas the Big Heart Brigade is one of the largest volunteer-driven programs in the United States, providing over 106,000 Thanksgiving meals for distribution throughout South and Central Florida. And whereas Tom DeRita, director and founder of Palm Beach Gardens charitable organization, was inspired by his son, Dave DeRita, whose compassion for homeless families motivated them to begin their annual Thanksgiving meal giveaway in 1992, providing meals for 17 needy families, and thus the Big Heart Brigade was born. And whereas the Big Heart Brigade has spread to Palm Beach Gardens in 1997, serving roughly 50,000 meals to needy families, and whereas in 2001, Christ Fellowship joined the effort and 6,000 meals were served, and that total has increased each year. And whereas this massive undertaking involves many thousands of volunteers that arrive in shifts morning, afternoon, and evening, helping prepare and deliver turkey dinners in time for Thanksgiving. And whereas the Big Heart Brigade hosted its 23rd annual Thanksgiving feast and prepared more than 75,000 meals for those in need this holiday. And whereas during Hurricane Katrina, the Big Heart Brigade supplied meals to over 10,000 families. And whereas throughout its history, the brigade has conducted holiday toy drives, donated over 750,000 pounds of food and supplies to victims of earthquakes in Haiti. And for the past 4 years, the Big Heart Brigade joined Renewal Coalition, working to help wounded warriors and their families returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. And whereas the Big Heart Brigade, in its nonprofit, which is 100% volunteers and 100% of all funds goes back to the community, and whereas the brigade's mission is to enrich the lives of those in need by providing a holiday meal or some much-needed support to members of our community. Now, therefore, I, Eric Jablin, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, do hereby congratulate and express recognition and gratitude to Tom DeRita, founder of the Big Heart Brigade, for years of outstanding devotion, dedication, and service to our community. when you decided to come here tonight. I don't know if you expected all that, but we thank you all for participating in that, and we appreciate it very much. Next is items of resident interest and board and committee reports. David?
Yeah, I have a couple of things tonight. One is I'd like to tell you all that the Historical Society meeting is going to be over at Christ Fellowship Church. It's Wednesday, February 10th. They always have a speaker. I'm not sure who the speaker is this month. They always have a speaker talking about the historical aspects of, well, Palm Beach Gardens, sometimes the county, and sometimes even the state of Florida. I'd also like to let you all know that we all attended the January 22nd annual meeting of the PGA Property Owners Association meeting. Our own Chief Stepp and our own Chief Southern spoke along with our mayor, Eric Jablin. And I'll tell you what, if I didn't already live here after hearing those speeches, I'd be moving here. It was wonderful where our city is going and how well we're doing. Chief, great job. Both chiefs, great job on running the police and fire department, both accredited agencies. I think crime was down this year except for one category, which is auto burglaries. And we can help prevent auto burglaries, make our police have an easier job by not keeping anything in our car and locking our car doors. Right, Chief? Okay. And we have a wonderful report from our mayor and a few other guests, but they weren't important. Just kidding, Hal. Okay, I also attended at the Palm Beach County, not the Florida League of Cities meeting, on January 27th. We had our Board of Directors meeting. We appointed to the scholarship chairman, Council Member Judith Dugo of Green Acres, the Criminal Justice Commission appointment of Richard Volantes from Royal Palm Beach. We appointed to the Impact Committee of the Impact Fee Committee was Andrew Mack of Boynton Beach. Commissioner Paula Ryan was also appointed to the Impact Committee. We also had a membership application accepted from the Cultural Council of Palm Beach County and somebody called ARI. The main thing, though, that we talked about, and I would like to get our councils to support this, I think the league will send us a resolution, is that the center cities, Lake Clark Shores, Lake Worth, are putting together a program called the Chain of Lakes Blueway. This is their brochure from it. And essentially what they're going to do is they're going to create a portage over the structure on the C-51 canal, which will allow people to go from the Chain of Lakes to Lake Worth. This is supposed to give a big economic impact to that area, increase tourism, and also just increase the enjoyment of residences in our area. It will probably be run by the South Florida Water Management District for a fee that will pay for the service. Okay, next up is I attended the Loxahatchee River Management Coordinating Council meeting, where this tells you you always should attend the meeting. Tom Howard of the Jupiter Inlet District, who wasn't there, was elected chair. and I was there, so I only got to be vice chair, so that was good. We had an overview of the C-51 reservoir concept, which is a water storage facility which will move water to the south and replenish aquifers from here all the way down to Broward County. And we also had a brief overview of the chemical analysis of the Loxahatchee River, and in most cases the river's in very good shape. Okay, I also attended with Joe the Bioscience Land Protection Advisory Board, and we're in the process of discussing what the purpose of this board is going to be into the future, and I'll let you go on to that a little bit more on that. There is something, though, that I do want to discuss because, it's meant a lot to me. I was elected in 2004. I was a brand new council member, and the day after I got elected, my first question was, now what? And I got to watch Joe Russo and Eric Jablin. Dave Clark was also on the council, and Andy Delgado. And they taught me what it was to be a council member. I got to observe them and watch them, and watch how they cared about the public and the residents of this city and put them first all the time. And I gotta tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I really appreciate your leadership over these few years. You know, from being a council member who was still in search of the key to the bathroom and the location to the council member that I am now, I have learned from you both tremendously. You have been wonderful, tremendous mentors to me. Joe, I will miss you on this council. And I will tell you, Joe, the knowledge that Joe has, and I hope that you stay around, because we still need to pick your brain, because there is so much information in Joe's mind that if we lost that information, it would be a tragedy. So I sure hope that you're there. And I guess the silver lining of this is that once Joe's not on the council, I can actually call him and ask him what he thinks about different issues, because he won't be covered under the Sunshine Law anymore. So expect, maybe he's going to need to change his cell phone number, because I have that. So I will be calling you a lot to ask you about what your opinion is, if you have a historical insight on what's happened in the city of Palm Beach Gardens over the last 27 years.
Okay, I'm going to do something a little bit different, just to keep Joe on his toes for his last month, or second to last month, I should say. I want to talk about people. First, we already spoke about Tory. May he rest in peace, and I said my words about him a little bit earlier. Next, I want to talk about you and Joe, Eric and Joe. Last week, Christy, Laura, and her team gave a new meaning to Cup of Joe. They had water, Joe Water, at the City Park expansion dedication, where they dedicated the City Park to honor the 27 years of Joe's service. That was wonderful. You guys did an excellent job, as usual. I do want to say that over the last 5 years serving on this council, both of you have taught me a lot, pretty much what you said as well. You've led by example. You've proven to be true, honorable, dedicated public servants. I've not always agreed with you both. We've debated quite a bit, but we've always done that with respect, and I truly appreciate that tremendously. Your character, integrity, devotion is what has helped make this city what it is today, and I truly thank you for that. And I can't thank you enough. You really taught me a lot. And even prior to me being on the council, you guys, not only did you teach me, you helped. You helped me when I had issues with my community, and I came before you guys. And like you said, this city is the city for what it is because of the people, and it takes everybody working together to make this city a great job. But you guys have been excellent leaders, and I truly thank you. And Joe, you'll be missed. I know we're going to talk about this next month, but I did want to say that. And these awards are so deserving. No, I'm not telling you everything I did this month. I said I'm doing something different, but I do want to, I know Bert's not here. I know he's listening. He's not feeling well. I hope he feels better, but Joe kind of rushed me at the last meeting because we had this huge agenda and he knew we weren't going to get through it, but I do want to wish Bert a belated happy 50th birthday, which was just right before the last meeting.
Happy birthday.
Yep.
Happy birthday.
And David, Eric, and I, and this is talking about more people, but David, Eric, and I, this week, we went to St. Clair's, and all of the students at St. Clair's prayed for all of the public leaders, all of the officials in Palm Beach County. And that was such a sweet thing to see all of those students come out, and they made up their prayers, and they came out, and it was just a beautiful event, and I really want to thank them. That was just wonderful. and I could use all the prayers I can get, so I was so appreciative. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Nobody mentioned the state of the county, but we went to the state of the county, and our Commissioner Hal Valashay and Virginia Baker were there. And one thing that is going to face the residents is they're going to do they have to find a way how to pay for infrastructure going forward. I guess with the recession, they got behind, and so you're reading a lot about it in the newspaper. About the sales tax and so forth. So you're going to have to keep your eyes on that. They plan on doing a referendum, and you're going to have to examine yourself whether you believe it's something good. You're going to get to vote on it, but they have to find a way, from what they told us at the chamber, of finding a way to fund these different projects. I also, by the way, Marcy, I need to thank you. You know, that park, you know, you talk about the staff, and the staff did a great job, and they surprised me, and I got to thank all you guys. You were absolutely awesome. I don't know how you did it. I still don't know how you did it, and thank you. It's something in life I will never, ever forget. I mean, it just was awesome. But, Marcy, without you, it would never happen. Don't you remember how you fought to get that park? I remember a budget thing where we were fighting about the thing, and we were fighting about the thing, and thank God I jumped in there a little bit and say, why can't we do both? Why can't we start this? Or else that park wouldn't have been there for me. So I thank you. And like David said, we did attend the biotech overlay meeting, and there has been some discussion on whether, as you know, the biotech overlay was put in place to protect the state investment and the county's investment for the biotech industry, because the state and the county put a lot of money up for it. So that's why this was established. But now we see the biotech industry struggling, and the question is whether we should get more involved and do some other things. We had a discussion, and it seemed to feel at this time nobody wanted to do that. But the one thing that needs to be done is the interlocal agreement needs to be extended. So I believe the next meeting or the meeting after that, something will be coming forward with the county, the interlocal agreement to extend it. And that's going to be very important to do. The other thing is I attended a Honda meeting. By the way, whoever don't know, I'm going to scoop you. It'll be in tomorrow's paper that the Honda Classic that Phil Mickelson and Sergio Garcia and Adam Scott have committed to play. That's going to be in tomorrow's newspaper. That press was released today, and I think that's awesome. The field is going to be great again. As you know, Rory's already committed, and I believe there'll be a couple other top names committing before long. You know, some of them don't want to commit to the last minute because of how they do things, but it's going to be a great event. And David, if you screw up the weather this year, I'm telling you, so I'm not voting for you. If you screw up the weather, I'm telling you right now, the weather's riding on my vote. So.
I've already put in my request.
But come on out, enjoy it. And let me just say this about the Honda. Last Thursday evening, I attended the Jupiter Medical Center opened their pediatric care unit, which is a 12-bed state-of-the-art pediatric care. That it's called the DeGeorge because the DeGeorge family gave a lot for this, and the Nicholas family did, the Nicholas Children's Healthcare. And let me tell you about the Honda. The economic impact we get is significant. We all know that. But the money that goes to local charities, which last year was over $2.5 million, okay, we wouldn't have that without the Honda. We wouldn't have the outpatient center for the children here on PGA Boulevard, and we wouldn't have this state-of-the-art hospital. It's in coordination with Miami. I mean, I took a tour of it. I hope you don't ever have to be in it because then you're not there visiting anybody. But if you ever did need it, it's something that, you know, families don't have to displace their families to go to Miami. They have it there. And that's all because of the Nicholas family, and that's why we're going to be honoring Barbara Nicholas, and we wouldn't have that without them and without the Honda. So it's just a win-win situation. One other thing I'd like to mention is that, you know, I see where the Corey Jones law seems to be going through the legislature. As soon as there's an actual law and a sponsor, I'd like to see if we could do if we could do a resolution supporting that. Obviously, we've already done everything in there that they're planning to do, but I think we should be taking a lead on it. You know, we've become the model for this. So I think it'd be a great idea for us to do that resolution, send it out to the league and all the Palm Beach County cities and everybody in the state, because I believe it's something that should be done. So that's it. One more meeting to go.
Yeah, one more meeting to go. And then I start doing my victory tour, right? My gosh, I can't believe it's all coming to an end so quickly. Okay, well, these guys said everything, so I'm not gonna add to it. I just want to say that I am out there every week at the Green Market. It's an amazing event, and it's because the staff does such a fantastic job that the vendors love them so much. So I wanted to say a shout out to all you guys who participate and make that happen every week. I love being out there every Sunday, and I can't tell you how many people come up to me who know me when I walk through there and thank me for having a city of a caliber of ours with an event like that every Sunday. It's not easy to pull off, is it? Laura's shaking her head. It isn't. I mean, they set up at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they break down at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a lot of work. But it pays off because our city is known for it, and I love it, and I hope to see you all out there this Sunday. Okay, next is items of interest and board comments from the public. I'm sorry, for items that are not on the agenda. I have a whole bunch. First one is Joni Elias.
Joni Elias, 1009 Diamond Head Way. This is really a very exciting, and you all, Joe has already reserved a seat next to me for the April meeting. And I told him years ago when this building was built, our dear friend Bill Ingrams said he and I wanted to have recliners on the front row. And Bill and I never got the recliners, and I know Bill is reclining in heaven. Yeah. I'm still here without a recliner. So Joe's first thing will be to try and get recliners for us. But if you don't do it, Joe, I'll still be here without a recliner. Both of you mentioned two wonderful people that this city should thank for the many, many hours that they sacrificed their spouses for to this city. And we all owe so much thanks to Connie Russo and Abby Jablin for giving us their husbands, giving the city of Palm Beach Gardens their husbands for those many years. Thanks, girls.
That's very sweet. Thank you so much. You know, Joni, I don't think has ever missed a meeting. Very rarely have I ever seen, and she's been here through thick and thin with all of us.
That's another one of the people that I talk about.
Yeah.
And Joni's been here every meeting. Anytime you needed something, she was there. She was always there to lend support and do whatever she could do. She's probably gone to 90% of the meetings I've been to.
Yeah, yeah.
So thank you for that, Joni. And
thank you, Joni.
Is that my seat there? I like the aisle seat, by the way.
Okay. Matt Baker. Matt, I need your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Matt Baker, 220 Isle Verde Way, Palm Beach Gardens. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm here tonight to speak about staffing for the Zone 64 fire station. And the reason why is because every station in Palm Beach Gardens except Zone 64 is typically staffed with 5 members, and that allows for the ability to take 2 vehicles out when there's multiple calls or when a call requires that. In Zone 64, it's typically staffed with only 3 members, and that doesn't allow for the ability to take 2 vehicles out when it's needed. And what this means is that a majority of time, the residents in Zone 64 do not receive the same level of service as residents in other zones. This includes residents from Mirabella, Mirasol, San Marano, Old Palm, Old Marsh, Marsh Point, Bent Tree, East Point, Ballin Isles, PGA National, and also 4 schools, Marsh Point, the Mirasol Preschool, Timber Trace, and Duncan. So really, why should anyone really care about that level of responsiveness? Again, in Zone 64, residents can't, the station can't address a single event with 2 vehicles, and that can be vital at certain points. Other residents in the gardens have that opportunity. Zone 64 residents cannot have 2 calls responded to at the same time, while other residents, by their own zone station, while other residents have that opportunity. In a council meeting a few short months ago, it was mentioned and presented that in 2014, Palm Beach Gardens had an average response time of 6 minutes and 15 seconds. According to the records we obtained, in 2015, Zone 64 had an average response time over 7.5 minutes. So that's much longer than the average for the city, and we believe it certainly puts people at risk. The staffing model that was decided in, I believe, 2008 is what brought it down to 3 in that station, and that was due to economic reasons, to budgetary constraints, and that's really, a different time. And now that issue doesn't really exist. However, I'd ask that the council consider staffing that station while the survey's being done to find out about whether that should be staffed fully, because I'd hate to see residents put at risk when we're doing a study. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Abby Baker. Again, name and address for the record, please, Abby.
Hi, Abby Baker, 220 Isle Verde Way, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. So as Matt said, we came before you a few months ago, and we listened to the presentation given back in September, and we went back and did research of our own as well. And we're concerned. We're still concerned. And we understand that you are as well. We know that you took our concerns seriously and that you're looking into it and you're doing this study. As Matt mentioned, we believe that there should be a full staff there until those studies are completed, showing that there's not a risk, showing that these times that we say we're meeting, we're actually meeting. We know that no matter what, our zone, as he mentioned, including Mirasol, Mirabella, San Marano, Bent Tree, Marsh Point, several schools, parts of Ballin Isles, parts of PGA National, Old Palm, we never have the opportunity there to have someone from our station respond in full for an effective response, such as my husband needed in March. So his call required that they have both units on the scene. The first unit on the scene back in March 2015 for Matt's call did respond from 64, even though we were a staff of 3 that day. So the first unit came in 5 minutes, 52 seconds. The second unit, which if we were fully staffed, we had the possibility of them both arriving at that time. The second unit came in at 8 minutes and 55 seconds. We were lucky that our unit was available that day, being one. Later that afternoon, someone wasn't so lucky. Their first response came in at over 10 minutes. First person on the scene. That could have been us. I don't know if you would have survived that. That is why I am here. The multiple times we drive by the station and notice the bay doors are down, and there's nobody there to respond if we have an emergency. I did find that month of March, there were 147 calls, according to the records that we attained in our zone. Out of those calls, 64 was unable to respond, or they were not on 25. They were not on first to arrive at 25 of those scenes or on any of those calls. The average of those calls for first in were over 9 minutes. There was one that went over 13 minutes. So we do ask that you staff the station until you find that we really are not being underserved, considering that we don't have enough people to ever respond, as you would in any other zone in the city. I also did find back in 2008, as Matt mentioned, it seemed budgetary restraints were why we went to adaptive model, and we chose the stations with the lowest call volume. The only station that remains is Station 64. The records that I obtained for 2015, the station calls from our zone are no longer the lowest in the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kara Levinson. Kara? Your name and address for the record, please.
Absolutely. My name is Kara Turley Levinson. I'm at 2254 Quail Ridge North. I'm a longtime resident of Palm Beach Gardens. When my family moved to Palm Beach Gardens, they raised my sister and I in the beautiful community of Garden Woods. The first house my husband and I bought together was off Holley Drive. And 3 short months ago, we were able to move into the beautiful community of Shady Lakes. I want to thank you, first of all, our city leaders, for helping to make sure that Palm Beach Gardens stayed such a fabulous place to live and raise a family. Not only am I a new resident of Shady Lakes, I am also a mother of 2 young children who attend Timber Trace, and I am a teacher at Duncan Middle School. I cannot argue with the fact that the congestion on 117th can be unbearable, especially during pickup and drop-off times. But I feel that extending Shady Lakes Boulevard is a horrible mistake that will put many students in danger and cause even more havoc on 117th. Giving two-way access to the parking lots in both schools will create more frustration from the parents and less attention to the students who are walking or riding their bikes. This will also congest 117th even further, especially at Duncan Middle School, where I work, where there is currently no turn lane. The teachers, parents, and students will feel this much more than the few who travel this road during school hours for the tennis center. Those students from Garden Lakes, Gardens of Woodbury, Shady Lakes, and even across PGA who currently walk or ride their bikes to school on a safe path without any fear of traffic will no longer have that luxury. They will now be sharing the road with distracted and hurried drivers, putting their lives at risk. The new fields and extended tennis center are a fantastic bonus to our city. However, the safety of the students who attend the very schools who will most likely be using those fields should be a primary concern for all of us. Please consider using that $2.5 million set aside to give 4 lanes of traffic to 117th for easier flow of traffic for both schools and for the fields, instead of providing an access that will be more of a headache than a help. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next is Kathy Beamer.
I guess my face is familiar. Kathy Beamer. I live at 2258 Quail Ridge North. As you all know, I live in Shady Lakes, and I'm one of the 7 families that will back onto the extension of Shady Lakes Drive if it goes through. We get the impression that this council seems to think that only 7 homes in Shady Lakes will be adversely affected by the extension, and we are the only ones concerned. This council seems to think that no other Palm Beach Gardens residents are concerned about the negative effect of this extension. This council's impression is wrong. Virtually all residents of Shady Lakes, 97 homes, along with dozens of residents in the Gardens of Woodbury, Garden Lakes, along with residents of JDM and even Bent Tree, are against this extension. Residents of JDM most particularly now realize on Larch that they are going to be a cut-through from Military Trail to avoid the intersection of PGA and Military Trail for those seeking an alternative way to get to Central. Over the last months, we've obtained 250 signatures. Since the last council meeting, we have been circulating a petition, and we already have 250 names of people who are very concerned and against the extension of Shady Lakes. As Mr. Russo stated, this council was elected to protect our rights as residents of Palm Beach Gardens. We are asking this council to please put the brakes on this project, perform an actual study to determine the best way to protect its citizens while achieving what the city actually wants to achieve. Set up a workshop, get input from the residents, the people that live around there and really know what's going on. Be honest about why this is occurring. It's interesting to note that the reasoning you all gave at the city council meeting in October and even November is not the same reason for the extension that was given to us by Planning and Zoning when the Shady Lake Extensions Committee met with the Planning and Zoning Department. It's perplexing to understand different reasons by different sections of your government. When we called the city several years ago to advise the city that it had incorrectly named Shady Lakes a boulevard, when there was new signage installed on PGA Boulevard, as it's always been Shady Lakes Drive. And we were advised it was a mistake and it would be corrected. One of the signs indeed was changed back to Shady Lakes Drive. But it turns out it wasn't a mistake, and it actually, unbeknownst to us, was an indication of your future plans. There would be documentation on that. It was not provided to me. I did a Freedom of Information. I got one document. I'm asking you all to please please understand our situation is not you giving us time to look at the website. We want you to understand, we want you to reconsider the extension, not tell us the progress of the extension. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you. John Frost.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council.
Name and address.
My name is John Frost. Thank you. I live at 2256 Quail Ridge Road North in Shady Lakes, Palm Beach Gardens. Before I do my prepared remarks, I had no idea that we would be here this evening when you gentlemen were honored. I just want to acknowledge your service to our community. I've never had the pleasure of meeting either one of you gentlemen before, but the words that were spoken are very impressive, and we appreciate your service to our community. Mr. Russo, Mr. Mayor. My name is John Frost, and for the last 20 years, my wife Lori and I own a home at 2256 Quail Ridge Road North in Shady Lakes. We've raised two daughters that attended Timber Trace Elementary and Duncan Middle School. We have family members that attend Timber Trace now. We've always felt safe in their walking to school on the existing bicycle path and sidewalk without risk of walking in traffic. My understanding is that the plan for this road has been on the books for a decade or more. Well, we have lived here almost 20 years, and no one has approached me or anyone I know in Shady Lakes, even though it is the community most affected. I am concerned why residents were not seemingly included in the discussion initially. I feel like we're trying to jump on a train that has already left the station instead of being a part of a fair, open-minded, productive conversation about what is doing best for our community and our neighborhood. I believe the City Council has the opportunity and the responsibility to be a facilitator and consensus builder in this discussion. The road is not justified nor warranted. Many others have spoken to the concerns for school safety and traffic flow, so I will not take your time to do that now. I understand that there are alternatives which the city doesn't seem to be pursuing. One is to create an emergency access service road between Shady Lakes Drive and 117th Court that does not include public access. There are numerous other ideas. Maintaining the existing Shady Lakes Drive as is will eliminate any increase of traffic from PGA and will maintain our secure community, its quiet character and quality of life we all enjoy, while providing all Palm Beach Gardens residents pedestrian access to the park and schools, while also providing access for emergency vehicles. I request that you expedite your negotiations with the school board regarding 117th Court for the safety of the children and access to the tennis courts. It's not too late for the City Council to make the right choice and best choices for the good of the neighborhood and for the good of the community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Vito DeFrancisco. And Mr. Frost, you have an amazing voice. I was thinking he's on the radio, but he's a good-looking guy, too, so could be on TV.
For the record, my name is Vito DeFrancisco. I live at 1049 Shady Lake Circle. Since I was here last time to speak about Shady Lakes Extension, I had the opportunity to go to 3 different schools: Discovery Key in Wellington area, the Mirasol School, and of course Duncan. All of these schools are located on one-way roads that go into the school with no exit. Your contention is without a second way out, there is a danger. And if that is truly a reason, these other schools are endangered also. And Discovery Key, if you believe the traffic is bad on 117th, it's like comparing Miami traffic to Palm Beach Gardens traffic at Discovery Key. It is horrible. At the meeting, last meeting we had, I suggested a Joe Russo Memorial Parkway. And I must have laid the seed, and it came up with Joe Russo Park. So I apologize for that, Joe. But anyways, now we got a Joe Russo Park. But Joe Russo also made a very profound statement. He said there should be a study. Because you're talking about extending the roadway, and you don't even have a clue if that's going to take care of your problem. Now, if in fact extending this roadway takes care of the problem, what about the problems at Discovery Key and Mirasol? Mirasol is in PGA in Palm Beach Gardens. It has the very same problem. I was trying to get onto Jog Road, and I got sucked into the traffic to go into Mirasol. I couldn't even get out of it. And you think 117th is bad? Try to get out of the traffic in Mirasol. You can't. All schools have this very same issue, and the schools create the issue, they accept the issue, and now you're trying to take it upon yourselves to clean it up. This is, although we're protecting the children and I'm all for that, I really believe a study needs to be done. Some clear minds need to think about it, and it needs to be done by an independent group of people, traffic engineers, roadway people, the past county engineer for roads. Some of those people need to get involved and come up with solutions, and it isn't a solution for 117th. I just gave you 3 other schools in Palm Beach County that all have the same, very same problem, except Discovery Key is way worse. So if you're going to do something, at least give it full consideration and do the right thing. Make it correct for everybody. But don't do it just to do something to spend money or to create additional issues that may come up from putting in a road that may confuse the issue instead of correct it. Thank you.
Thank you, Vito. Marguerite Collins?
Good evening, Mayor Jablin, Council, and citizens of Palm Beach Gardens. My name is Marguerite Collins, and I live at 4398 Flax Court, Plat 6, Palm Beach Gardens. And I've lived here for 38 years, so I've seen many interesting changes to my little neighborhood as well. My husband and I have both taught your children. I'm looking at Mr. Levy. And I've had the pleasure of leading all kinds of little Girl Scouts all the way up through as a manager for the Scorpio neighborhood for Girl Scouts. And we knock on doors and do all of our political things that we're supposed to do as good citizens. And now I'm retired, and I get up in the morning and I look across the street at a house that has the number 4385, and it has no windows. It has boards. Some of them are not painted. The boards on the house, the trim, it's never been painted. They're just plywood coverings rotting away. There are cinder blocks which have never been painted. I feel like when I look across the street, I'm not living in my Palm Beach Gardens that I've lived in for 38 years. I'm living in a third world nation. I will leave the country to your choice. This is my residential neighborhood, though, and I am truly concerned that that house has looked that way for 2.5 years. I've had to explain to friends who visit and tell me, we didn't know Palm Beach Gardens looked like that. I have that little embarrassment. I don't mind it, but I'm here tonight asking you to please, if there is anything that you as a council or you as any other committees that are part of our town can do. I know the regulations that I'm required to do to keep my house up. I don't want to move, and I don't like the eyesore. Please help me on Flax Court. Keep Palm Beach Gardens nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Marguerite.
Eric,
I gave this to.
Okay, because this has been going on
I
a
know.
long time.
I know.
I mean, we need to help these people
Yes,
out.
I totally agree. I've given it to, we're going to be looking into this. I know it's been a long time. You've been
Yeah.
here before. I know.
Yeah, I mean, can we get a report on this next
Yeah.
council meeting? Maybe it's time to start looking at
Let's
condemnation.
get back to them in a short period. I don't want them to wait a month. I mean, if we could get
Yeah,
back
if we
to
can
them.
get back to them before then.
City manager will take care of it.
Yeah, he will. Terry Pritchard? Pritchford? Okay. Gary? Terry's first. That's who I have. Terry.
Terry Pitchford, 4399 Flax Court, Palm Beach Gardens. On July 1st, we attended, and when I say we, myself, my family, our neighbors, the code compliance hearing with the special magistrate regarding the property at 4385 Flax Court. During that hearing, the owner, Ms. Smith Sanders, stated that she expected the exterior of the house to be completed by the end of December and the interior to be done by March of 2016. Staff stated they would monitor the progress, they could exert pressure on the contractor and the owner to make sure that progress continued. The building permit that had already been extended several times was set to expire September 6th of 2015. We also attended and spoke at the City Council meeting that same evening. 15 8x10 photos of that house were taken by my husband and they were entered into the record. We expressed our concerns regarding the safety of the house during hurricane season, as it was the beginning of July. On July 10th, an article appeared in the Palm Beach Post about the same house. The owner is quoted in that article as saying that the outside will be done by January. The facility would be move-in ready by March. She states, quote, "I'm a good person. I'm not going to bring down the neighborhood." Since July, the only progress made on this house has been the completion of the wood framing and the sheathing on the roof. That was approved by the inspector September 2nd. Following that inspection, the building permit was extended once again, and it now is set to expire the end of this month, February 29th. The black tar paper and underlayment for the roof that was placed on at that time has been blowing off ever since. In the high winds, it comes off, even though it's secured by nails. The black paper and the nails come off into our yard, into our pool, front yard, backyard, everywhere. Since January 21st of 2015, over a year ago, only 2 inspections have been completed on that property. On March 10th, approval was given for the beams and columns and the roof inspections that I previously cited. This apparently demonstrated sufficient progress to expend the permit. This appears to be a pattern, a flurry of activity to complete something just before the permit expires, and then the permit gets expended again. We fully expect to see activity resume this month, following a 5-month period of inactivity, nothing since September. It's been more than 2 years since December 2013 that we've had to live with this hazard. We're unable to enjoy our backyard and our pool that's located on the east side of the property adjacent to this house. The debris and the unsightly condition of the house next door makes it impossible to relax and enjoy our property. Your website states, in thousands of neighborhoods across the United States, there are group homes / community residential homes quietly and inconspicuously blending in with the community. That certainly is not the case with 4385.
Okay. Gary?
Gary Pitchford, 4399 Flax Court. Protect the health, safety, and welfare of the public at large. That is a quote from the Palm Beach Post. I find that a perceived or an imaginary danger to the public at large is the reason the taxpayers will be footing the bill when real and tangible safety, health, and welfare issues are being ignored by the city of Palm Beach Gardens. Palm Beach Gardens' lack of compliance with existing rules, regulations, has resulted in real damages to the public and me. After speaking with legal counsel, it has been determined that the best course of action regarding the house at 4399 Flax Court, non-compliance by the parties, is in court. While an individual or an entity has the right to lawfully pursue the installation of a community residential home, such an endeavor does not diminish or eliminate the rights of the public, nor does the lack of oversight or compliance by any of the parties lessen the accountability for their actions or lack of. I believe that the judge in the Sears case has clearly affirmed that to be true. For more than 2 years, I and the community have suffered and continue to suffer as a result of the indifference of the parties involved. I do not believe a reasonable man or your constituents, nor would a judge find this behavior acceptable or compliant. Foolish decisions and non-compliance continue to be the source of distrust for the residents. Palm Beach Gardens and the other parties have left me and my neighbors little choice other than to seek a court resolution to the damages incurred.
Thank you, Gary. Next is Paula Magnuson. Paula? Not here. Anastasia Held? She's not here. Okay. Michael Marsh? Michael Marsh? Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Michael Marsh, P.O. Box 691061, Vero Beach. Thank you very much for his time, City Council, and it's really nice to hear you make reference to Corey Jones. Yesterday would have been his birthday. I'm one half of a company called iStream. We are a personal security protection company. We sell body cams as well as dash cams. My reason for being here today is we reached out to the City of Palm Beach Gardens, to the police department. We know right now, obviously, there's still that pending investigation, but there's certain legalities that we have questions about when it comes to these dash cams and body cams and wearing them. You know, we've done the research as much as we possibly can. If the City of Palm Beach Gardens Police Department can't help us, we would like to reach out to the City Council. There's certain questions we do have. Obviously, the House Bill 93, as well as Corey's Law, will set a tremendous precedent. Besides educating the public with our body cams and dash cams, we speak about Periscope. Periscope is an application right now. If there is an interaction with law enforcement, it will remain on Periscope for 24 hours. Right now, we are in works of implementing an application that will have a cloud to where these recordings will be indefinite. There's no erasing them. They can be used as evidence. And I just want to make mention of this before I go. Today is the 109th day that Melissa Jones, the sister of Corey Jones, has yet to get answers. Today is the 109th day that C.J. Jones, the brother of Corey Jones, has yet to get answers. Today is also the 109th day that Mr. Jones, the father of Corey Jones, the Jones and Banks extended family, as well as all of us, the supporters of Corey Jones, has yet to get answers. I would also like to mention 2 weeks from tonight, we'll be right back out on 995. I ask you guys to please help us. There's certain questions we do have. Obviously, I know, and I'm sure you guys want answers just as well as everyone else does. But I ask you to help us to keep this beat alive. God bless and good night.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. We feel the same way you do. You should know that. Next is Don Mathis.
Don Mathis, 146 Thornton Drive. It's interesting reminiscing, looking back tonight at all your career, especially Joe and Eric. I can remember the old days at the old City Hall. Well, my attendance is not perfect like Jones, but I can remember the lobby was outside with the mosquitoes. It was not a lot of fun. So I come tonight, though, to talk about a subject that I would really like to get the interest of the city focused on coming up. It's the Central Boulevard I-95 interchange proposal. Well, that item has been around in the plans for many, many years, just kind of hanging out there. Back in 2011, a mobility study came out for northern Palm Beach County looking at transportation off of I-95. This project has nothing to do with the main line of I-95. It's about the traffic off. And the main target is PGA Boulevard and relieving the traffic on PGA Boulevard and what it is today and what it will be in the future. I mean, the city council here has done a marvelous job over the years of really designing a 21st century downtown east of I-95 on PGA Boulevard with Legacy and downtown and the Gardens Mall and the Government Center and everything else that's in that area right now. And there's plenty more to come. And I think if you get into the depth of the studies, you will find that it's not taking into account that. And what is being proposed at Central Boulevard is not going to give you the relief you need. And let me just give you a quick rundown of the way this has gone. Back in the mobility study of 2011, it was from PGA Boulevard to the county line to the north. Came out and said PGA Boulevard and Indian Town Road are tremendously crowded. We really needed a study to know that, I know. But it was followed up by a December 2014 meeting of the Palm Beach County MPO, where the FDOT made a presentation talking about what they were going to do in terms of an interchange at Central Boulevard. That same meeting, there was a presentation about all the interchanges in Palm Beach County being studied. Actually, that study only went from North Lake to Linton Boulevard. It did not include PGA Boulevard. The interchange study then was followed by a public meeting last January, I believe it was the 28th of January here in this room, to make the presentation of what alternatives were thinking about. There were 26 alternatives. Only one was really being considered at that time, which was a flyover over the overpass, which nobody was really in favor of. It was a very big flag that was raised in that subject at that time. That led to the February-March release of what's known as an interchange justification report. That is IJR is what they call them. That report is basically sent to the from FDOT to the federal government to get money for a project that has to do with the interstate system. The IJRs are the key vehicle that translates what happens on the interstate and what needs to be done. I will contend that that report that came out in those days showed very limited lack of knowledge of Palm Beach Gardens and what's here. I'll give you a couple little indications. One, it said Central Boulevard is a major truck route connecting commercial traffic to US 1. I can defy you to get there from there. Another element that was in there that said there was only one interchange to I-95 in Palm Beach Gardens alone. These subject matters were really a terrible flaw. I wrote up a 9-page report after going through that, and I've left a stack of them. I don't know whether she's distributed them to you or not, with the original analysis and a follow-up analysis, because they took 6 months between the consultant and FDOT to go back and take the report that I put together. They actually responded to the original analysis that's in there, to that report, because of some of the subject matters in it. And they came along and came out with another report that still only looks at doing an interchange at Central Boulevard. There was never a consideration in any of the alternatives for doing anything directly at PGA and I-95. What I'm here simply, and I go into some more detail, but if anybody wants to talk about it, I've talked to several of you members about it before, and I'll be glad to continue. I encourage you to look at some of the details in that package. But what I really would like to see the city do is reach out to FDOT and say, wait a minute, can't we look at Central Boulevard and not as what it is today, but turn around then and look at PGA Boulevard? There are a lot of choices that you can get true relief there. PGA Boulevard loads at the Turnpike and it loads at I-95. This project is more about people coming into the new downtown than it is about the city residents. And one last thing, and I know I'm way over, Mayor. One last thing on this thing. If you look at the numbers in their report, and I will show you some of the other, in some of the packages I gave you there, the traffic on Central Boulevard at the end of this study period, which goes to 2040, on Central Boulevard up by Victoria Falls will be almost an identical number. I believe the number is 4469 in the morning rush hour. That's trips per hour on that road. Yes. It's 4470 on PGA Boulevard at Military Trail. That's 2 lanes versus 6, folks. It's a really dangerous situation when you put 5 schools on top of it.
Thank you, Don. We have the report, and we are analyzing it, okay?
Mr. Mayor, if I may say something. I just wanted to make sure that you are aware there will be a workshop. DOT requested a workshop right here in our council chambers, and I believe that's the 18th. You said, Ron. So just so you know, and I also want to make sure you also know that our staff has been working with DOT after the first workshop that they had in regards to that interchange, because we were all not very impressed by their presentation the first time. So staff has really been working diligently with trying to communicate with them in regards to the intersection. Actually, both PJ and Central.
One other meeting that's coming up is the Government Affairs Committee of the Chamber of Commerce. That is going to be a debate. FDOT is coming. I'll be speaking with them about their issues. So,
thank you. Okay, thanks, Don. Thank you. Okay, that's all the cards I have. Next is the city manager's report.
Okay. The first thing I wanted to bring up is the public workshop on the Central and I-95 project. We had some flyers over there on the table to let people know that it is on the 18th in the chambers at 5:30. So you can be here and see what they have dwindled the options down to. Also on the table over there we have a stack of our Signature City magazine, the winter edition. This is the second edition that of the revived, renewed Signature City magazine. Some very good information in there, and we're very proud of it. One of the things that we get involved in is, as you know, a few days ago we had an incident around Central Boulevard and up and down Central Boulevard from Hood to the Old Palm area near the elementary and middle school on 117th, which is a hot topic tonight. But the good thing about it is that it's pretty rewarding when you get the benefits of some of the things I'm about to show you. And this is a surprise to the police department. They haven't seen this yet, nor have you. So from the Timber Trace kids, we got thank yous from the police department. As you can see, they got a thank you for keeping us safe. You are our heroes. We admire all that you do. These are first graders. Such things as thanks so much for saving our schools. You look at some of the others. Thank you for saving the schools. Thank you very much. I also have one with a little quiz here. It says, what's the best thing to put in a tie? Your teeth. So you guys are the best. This comes from the first graders. Also, they're asking them to come back and visit again. And here's a quiz. Why did the police officer cross the road? To save the school. So thank you, police officers. We love you. Thank you. You're the best police officers ever. Here's one that says, we're so happy that you put the bad people in jail. You come to save us. Come to our class someday. So this is the kind of things that we see, every now and then that really make it worthwhile, doesn't it, Chief? And all of you guys out there, we appreciate what you do. These kids appreciate the fact that they felt safe, that you were there to protect them in their time of need, and they are so happy about it. So I just think that right now, kudos to the police department who were there to take care of those kids. And I agree with the kids. Thank you so much. That's all.
That was great. That was really great. Well, I'll add my thanks, too, because these guys are the best, and it's because of all the years of training and the leadership of our wonderful police chief here. sitting here, and he's here at every meeting. Chief Stepp, you and your staff have done an amazing job for this city, and we all do feel much safer because you are here. Thank you so much. Thank you from all of us. Okay, next is the consent agenda.
Okay, I'll move consent even with the proclamation for Engineers Week. I don't know why they get a week.
Hey.
Todd.
They're important.
I don't know why you
Just
get a
get
week.
a whole month.
Where is he? Oh, he's over there.
Moved in
He
second.
snuck over there for it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, passes 4-0. Okay, we're into public hearings. Tonight we are holding quasi-judicial hearings on the following cases. Resolution 7, 2016, miscellaneous Mirasol PCD amendment. That means the City Council is required by law to base its decision on the evidence contained in the record of this proceeding, which consists of the testimony at the hearing, the materials which are in the official city file on this application, any documents presented during this hearing. The Council is also required by law to allow cross-examination of any witnesses to testify tonight. Cross-examination may occur after the staff, the applicant, and other participants have made their presentations and will be permitted in the order of the witness's appearance. It is necessary that anyone who testifies at the hearing remain until the conclusion of the hearing in order to be able to respond to any questions. If you plan to testify this evening or wish to offer written comments, please fill out a card and give it to the city clerk. The city clerk will now swear in all persons who intend to offer testimony this evening on any of these cases. Will you please rise and raise your right hand?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Okay. First is Ordinance 2, 2016, second reading. Clerk will read the title.
Ordinance 2, 2016, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, amending the City of Palm Beach Gardens budget for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2015, and ending September 30, 2016, inclusive, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
Thank you. I'm opening the public hearing. Has anyone changed, has anything changed since the first reading?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. For the record, Alan Owens. We did have one change since the first reading. We are requesting allocation of funds to purchase handheld radios for the use of the Community Services Department. Everything else in the original budget amendment stays the same. If you have any more questions, if you like, I could go through the presentation, but that was the only change since first reading.
Has everyone seen this in their agenda review? Is everyone okay with it? Do we need a presentation?
I think maybe we should do it for the public.
No.
No?
This is second.
This is second reading.
Okay.
I think we're okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing, bring us back for a discussion and or a motion.
Move Ordinance 2, 2016 on second reading and adoption.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Resolution 17, 2016. Clerk will read the title. 7, 2016, sorry.
Resolution 7, 2016, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, approving a miscellaneous amendment to allow the installation of a 50-foot tall flagpole and an 8-foot by 12-foot flag with an area of 96 square feet to be located north of the Mirasol Clubhouse facility. The Mirasol Clubhouse parcel is a 27.27-acre parcel located at the intersection of Mirasol Way and Mirasol Boulevard, as more particularly described herein, providing conditions of approval, providing waivers, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
This is a public hearing. Open the public hearing. Any ex partes?
None.
None. Nobody wanted to talk to us about this. Okay. Petitioner presentation. Oh, you know what he just said?
No.
He said, we're going to run this up the flagpole and see if
There
anyone
you
wants to
go.
live.
Perfect.
Okay.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Lambert, and I'm the general manager at Mirasol. On behalf of our residents here, we are asking for your approval to replace the flagpole that we took down last summer when we did our golf course practice renovation. We installed the pole back with the developer opened the club back in 2003, and we took it down from the renovation, and we want to install it in pretty much the same location. We
you've
have a
been
quick
sworn in, correct?
PowerPoint here
You-
that I
and
can
you've been
show you.
sworn in,
Been
correct?
sworn in.
Oh, yes, I did.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
That's
I have
the
a
whole
quick
thing?
PowerPoint here, which I
When,
can
are-
show
when
you.
are you going to be done?
Yeah.
Done with what?
The clubhouse.
Renovation.
You had to open up that. Hopefully the clubhouse will open in...
Nobody
end of-
ever asked you that, right?
No, I get it like 10 times a day. But hopefully we will be open the end of March. And
Really?
now that you teed it up, I would like to recognize the staff of planning and zoning and police and fire and building departments. They've been great so far. And we hope for the cooperation later. Just to kind of show you where it is here, we do have the driving range here. This is just one of our events. It's kind of a tradition. At Mirasol, we do a big teed up for the troop events to raise folks money for the veterans. And there you see the flag pole in its previous location. We did renovate our driving range this summer, as you can see. And where the red arrow is, that's where we want to install the flag back. We did move the clock over here. And this is just another view of that same location. So with that, that is all I have. I can answer any questions if you have.
Any questions? Staff presentation? Anything?
I think the only additional point that staff would like to mention is that there's 2 waivers that are associated with the flagpole, but the waivers have been reviewed by staff and meets the criteria of the city's code, and staff is recommending approval of the subject petition.
Okay, great. This is a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on this item? Seeing none, can I close the public hearing, bring it back up for a discussion and/or a motion?
To me, this is an internal project that won't affect the rest of the city, so I have absolutely no problem with that. And with that, I'll move Resolution 7, 2016.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded twice. All in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. City Attorney report? Any items for council action or discussion?
Move we adjourn?
I just was wondering what the council's thought was of maybe doing a workshop on this Shady Lakes extension, getting some input from the residents on what they would like to see on that road.
The Shady Lakes Homeowners Association continues to not give us a date to meet with them. They've also hired an attorney at this point, and any further discussion with the HOA, I think, would be not a good idea at this point. They've refused to meet with us so far, so there's no expectations. We have met with the 7 people, and the HOA president, I believe, was included in that meeting initially and gotten their feedback. So as far as we can see at this point, I think we've done all that we can do on several attempts to try to meet with them, and they just don't want to meet.
Okay. And we've reached out to the other neighborhoods in the area too, and we have met with them. Isn't that correct, Ron? Yes.
We've met.
I just want-
We've met with all the other communities except one, and we have a meeting with Woodbury. That was my echo of
Yeah,
February
I heard that.
22nd.
February 22nd, you said? Okay. I just personally want to speak about it when the people are here and just tell them exactly what you just said. Maybe we can do that at the next meeting because I'm sure they'll be here. But I do want them to know exactly what you just said.
That information is online.
Okay. I'm sorry?
Information is online.
Online.
I just really think that this is in such a wrong direction. I mean, I know you're putting together plans of the park, and I mean not the park, the road, and I know you're going to be going out to the residents when you get further down the road. But it just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like it's just in such a wrong, that nobody's understanding and nobody's seeing, and it's just I don't know how you get it back on track, because right now you have a lot of happy residents, and now and then on top of that, I mean, you got this potential legal action which limits what you can talk to them about. I mean, and I don't know how you get it resolved.
That's not because of what the city did. Okay, I mean, the city has requested meetings with them. They have refused. Now they've hired an attorney. I mean, this isn't the way it went at Winchester Court. I have to tell you, when we put in Kyoto Gardens Drive, we had a lot of cooperation from the neighborhood, and we created, I think, a beautiful road that they are living with today and they are enjoying. And I think the same thing can happen on Shady Lakes Drive, but they show no desire to really sit down with us.
We remember
They come here with the red shirts and they talk to us, and and I appreciate that. That's their prerogative. But they haven't sat down with staff to really help to
Ron,
design this road.
Let Ron finish. I think.
I think a lot of the I don't know. I'm hoping a lot of the anxiety that's expressed is because we don't have a plan at this point.
Right.
We do have a survey crew that's finishing up, and we have hired an engineering firm to be able to give us some alternatives to look at. Keep in mind, people keep saying we don't have a study. There's a traffic study online that shows very vividly where everything fails, and when we do this, how everything works. In addition, we don't have a 117th court. We have requested from the school board and sent down a request for a quit claim deed, but this is typical non-response.
Yeah, but I just think that they don't feel that we're making an effort. I really don't. You know what I mean? I know we have a study, but I don't know. I think they've wanted us to study 117th to see how that will all work, and I don't know what we've done or what, and I don't know how the schools interact. I just really think that, we can, look, I'm not going to be here, but, you can continue to fight this, and they're going to fight it, and every meeting they'll be coming in with the red shirts, until they all understand that we're doing everything we could possibly do, and this is the way it has to be, which right now I don't even know that we understand because we don't even have the plan. I mean, but that's when you get to where the plan needs to be. And Eric, you brought a great point about Kyoto. How many Sundays did we go down there, us, the city council, and sit out there and they had their barbecues and all that other kind of stuff, right?
And they
we
told
went
us what
down
they
there.
wanted.
That's when you get a plan, that's what you should be doing again. Go down and talk to them. And you know what? Even if they don't like what you have to say, at least they know you were there. And I think that's the effort we got to make. Now, the problem is after you get that letter from the attorney, now you're going to have our attorney telling you really shouldn't be doing that because then it could be litigated. So the whole thing has just changed with that one letter we got from the attorney, and that becomes a problem. And that's a problem that we have now. I mean, this, when it involves potential litigation, you have to listen to your attorney. So I don't know that you can go down there.
Max.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's what Max's job is. So as much as I think when the plan is there, we all should be going down, or you all, because I won't be here. If you've got that potential litigation sitting out there, I don't know that you can. And Max will eventually tell you that. And that's the problem now. This thing is in a wrong direction.
I think that with the survey, that's going to help. And I think that if we ever get a response from the school board, that will help. I think that we're moving in the right direction, but I think we just need to.
I mean, we have been pushing 117th for at least 5 years that I know of, and maybe longer. And one of the things that I haven't heard anybody talk about is, mitigation of the impact of this road on the neighborhoods. And I can see a lot of places where we can make some good mitigation that will help their neighborhoods and improve their situation from where it is today.
That is the purpose of the community outreach. And what we do when we go in and say, if this road goes in, what are your concerns and issues that we need to address in the engineering and planning and design stage so that we can try to mitigate what your concerns are?
Well, I heard something tonight from one of the speakers about a turn lane into Duncan, which if we can get 117th, we can put that in.
There's a lot of things we can do, and with the police department, we have submitted several ideas and concepts to the school administration, but it never seems to go past the school administration to get consideration by anyone. There seems to be a blockage there.
And you're absolutely right. And hopefully, we recently submitted another one, correct, Max, with a graphic, a concept graphic, and hopefully they'll respond in a timely fashion, and we'll have an answer once and for all.
Yes, we're hopeful.
But Ron,
It was sent again. I'm sorry. It was sent again to them before the end of the year. They got a draft quitclaim deed and with an attached conceptual diagram, which is very rough. It just shows the road.
Correct.
The problem has always been, like I said, Mr. Mergio was very helpful and collegial in that meeting and trying to help address the issue. It always seems to be what it is it goes up to the school board, and for whatever reason at the staff level, there seems to be this desire to do some kind of exaction or try and negotiate some kind of penalty or some kind of improvement off-site from the road from the city when the city has, the city manager can tell you better than I, the school board hasn't even bought so much as a bucket of cold patch to maintain that road in the last 5-6 years.
They did back off of that, which is good.
And they seem to be letting go of it, but then they want to put some kind of reverter provision in it as if they think we're going to, take the road over and then close it off, which is kind of hard to fathom.
Is there something, maybe we should be looking at a political solution and authorize one of our council members to go to a school board meeting and speak on this issue? I mean, that's something I need to ask the council. I mean, this is frustrating. This has been a long time that we have been fighting over getting this road. At the last I heard, the school board's not in the business of, and they shouldn't be in the business of maintaining roads. That's a city function. They should be in the business of educating our kids. And as a constituent of the school board, I'm a little bit perturbed about that.
I would like to wait just a little bit, only because we submitted the quitclaim deed, and then they asked for the graphics. So then we followed up with a graphic, which was just after the holidays, if I remember correctly. And I'd like to at least have a follow-up call to see if they I think you did that. You followed up and you asked if they received it, and they did.
Yes, I got an email from Blair Littlejohn, their council.
Now we've given them adequate time to review, so maybe a follow-up call saying, have you made a decision one way or another? And let's see. And then at the next council meeting, we'll know whether they've made a decision or not.
Yeah, I can certainly do that and reach out to them and try and follow up. I mean, as most of you are aware, a quitclaim deed is a painfully simple document.
Exactly. It's one page.
It's literally one page with an attachment and a legal description because it is just that. It's a quitclaim. It's like, here, give it to me. I'm taking it as I find it. Yep. I mean, it's pretty, it's about the most rudimentary real estate document you could ever deal with. So I'm hopeful that they've finished looking at it and are willing to do it.
Okay, perfect. And then we can make a decision at least with that.
Certainly.
Going forward, and then with the rest of it, Ron actually made up a good point, and Joe said, when you're there, if you go to them and you see the area, you're smart when you go to their area because you can see the road, you can see the area, you can see the right-of-way, you get a feel for their yard, for what they're asking for. So meeting on their turf is a smart thing, and I hope they'll change their mind.
They appreciate you coming down here.
Yeah. Well, when we did that with Kyoto Gardens, it was great, and we got their input. We knew what they wanted to mitigate the roadway. I have no idea what the residents of that area want that will help them.
See, the one thing they need to understand is even if you take a different position and you say, well, we could do it without that road. We could do it on 117th. That road's going to happen when the county puts the district park in. There's no way that if they could find a different solution right now for the schools to be safe, okay, that's one thing. But when that park goes in, there's no way that road's getting done one way or the other when that park goes in. When the district park, the county district park goes in, they're going to get that road no matter, I know right now they don't feel it's needed, but they might be better to deal with you than the county. But when you're down there and you're talking to them and and so forth. I always find that you're better off doing that. But anyway, let's see what happens. Good job.
Second, your motion for adjournment.
Second. I made the motion?
You made the motion.
I made the motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you. Passes 4-0.